and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Welcome to another episode of World of Africa on WION World is One. The ECOWAS bloc confronted new challenges this week as the military leaders of Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso boycotted a summit of West African leaders. The three countries formed a confederation of Sahel states in what they said was a bid to challenge France's interference in the region. ECOWAS has asked Senegal's President Diomaye Faye to try to convince the breakaway states to return to the bloc amid regional instability fears. We'll talk about that shortly. I'm Eric Njoka. Thank you for joining us. Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have set up their own bloc after leaving ECOWAS. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger have come together to form the Alliance of Sahel States. Each is ruled by a military government and has led to a split from the larger West African regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS. The three military rulers have pledged to support each other against outside threats and internal security challenges, leaving ECOWAS on panic mode. Here is our cover report.
Niger's General Abdul Rahman Chiani received his two counterparts, Burkina Faso's Captain Ibrahim Traoré and Mali's Colonel Assimi Goïta, at the Niamey airport in Niger. The three military leaders initiated deliberations to show the world that the three coup-hit countries in the Sahel were united and separate from Africa's ECOWAS grouping. Burkina Faso, Niger and Mali signed a confederation treaty that aims to strengthen a mutual defense pact announced last year, the Alliance of Sahel States. The signing capped the first joint summit of the leaders since they came to power in successive coups in their respective countries. It also came just months after the three countries withdrew from the Economic Community of West African States ECOWAS regional bloc in January.
Indeed, the formation of the Alliance of Sahel States has already made it possible to see around Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger an honourable coalition based on a common defence architecture and a pooling of resources nurtured by visionary solidarity in the image of serenity shown by the authorities and peoples of Burkina and Mali in the face of armed aggression planned by ECOWAS against Niger.
The West African Economic Bloc had suspended the three countries after their respective military takeovers, which occurred in July 2023 in Niger, September 2022 in Burkina Faso, and August 2021 in Mali. ECOWAS also imposed sanctions on Niger and Mali. But the bloc's leaders have held out hope of the trio's eventual return. Burkina Faso's Traoré also accused foreign powers of seeking to exploit the countries. The three nations have regularly accused former colonial ruler France of meddling in ECOWAS.
Africa is a continent that has suffered and continues to suffer due to imperialists. These imperialists have but one cliché in their head: Africa is an empire of slaves. That's how they view Africa. For them, Africans belong to them, our land belongs to them, our subsoil belongs to them. They have never been able to change their ways until now.
And as the three generals broke away from ECOWAS, the bloc held a parallel summit in Abuja. This after several West African leaders called for resumption of dialogue with the three coup-hit Sahel countries. The timing of the announcement of a new grouping by the Sahel Alliance was aimed at showing that the three countries can do without the regional bloc. ECOWAS said the region risked disintegration and worsening insecurity after junta-led countries made clear their intentions to leave the bloc.
The withdrawal of the three countries will be a major blow to security cooperation, particularly in terms of intelligence sharing and participation in the fight against terrorism in the region and other joint security initiatives.
We are aware of the enormous challenges, including terrorist activities and violent extremism, threatening to spread from Sahel region towards the coastal states, especially those that witnessed constitutional changes of government. The decision of the three Sahel countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to withdraw from ECOWAS has also been noticed.
Efforts to mediate the country's return to the bloc are likely to be discussed. Mediation efforts have been ongoing, including by the newly elected president of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Faye recently visited the three countries in an informal capacity in an effort to mend ties.
We must not resign ourselves and say that nothing can be done. There are difficulties. We must talk to each other and understand them. And from the level of understanding and the differences in position, see what it is possible to build from the existing base.
Analysts say the creation of the three-member alliance of Sahel states has weakened the economic bloc. Despite its real name recognition, ECOWAS has not performed well when it comes to achieving regional integration, promoting intra-African trade in West Africa, and also in ensuring security in the region. The Niamey summit also came a day before the United States is set to complete its withdrawal from a key base in Niger. This underscores how the new military leaders have redrawn security relations that had defined the region in recent years. Armed groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State have jockeyed for control of territory in all the three countries, unleashing waves of violence and spurring concern in Western capitals. But after the military coups, the country's ties with Western governments have frayed. In 2023, Burkina Faso saw a massive escalation in violence, with more than 8,000 people killed. This is as per the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project tracker ACLED. In Niger, minor gains against armed groups largely slid backwards after the coup. About 3 million people have been displaced by fighting across the countries. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
Human rights groups in Kenya sounded the alarm over dozens of Kenyans being targeted in abductions. Organized online and leaderless, the protests, initially a call to repeal tax hikes, have developed into a movement that has cut across Kenya's traditional ethnic divisions, becoming the biggest threat of William Ruto's 2-year-old presidency. Though Ruto withdrew the tax increases in a victory for the movement, the heavy-handed reaction to the protests' campaign groups have documented hundreds of arrests and at least 39 deaths, has raised fears of rights backsliding in Kenya. Here's a report from Nairobi.
Tabitha Wanjiro Cairo and her husband, David Cairo, have been searching for their missing son in police stations, hospitals and morgues, hoping to find him. hopefully alive or even dead. Their son went missing during recent protests against the finance bill that was being debated in Parliament in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. 28-year-old Joseph Mwangi was a street salesman, peddling whatever he could to make ends meet. But he had big dreams of becoming a police officer or soldier serving his country. Joseph's parents say they are only half alive.
Give us our children. My child did nothing wrong to anyone. Protesting in the streets is not a crime. If I was of the same age, I would also be in the streets protesting. I know if I was of that age, I would have also been protesting. That is why I called him to inquire if he was going to the protests. My boy did not wrong anyone. They should release our children. Why are they making us suffer?
At least 32 people, including activists, medical workers and social media influencers, have been abducted or arbitrarily detained. According to interviews with human rights monitors and dozens of activists, including 5 who recounted being seized, some spoke on condition of anonymity because they feared retribution. Some had participated in the wave of anti-government protests that rocked Kenya after the bill was first introduced.
The 30 or more cases that Amnesty and the Kenya National Commission for Human Rights and the Law Society of Kenya have documented, many people were not accorded their rights under the law. And therefore it takes us sadly into the phenomena that we call forceful abductions and enforced disappearances. And enforced disappearance essentially is a practice of abducting somebody. And in some cases you blindfold them, you take them to a non-licensed or non-registered police station, and you hold them against their will without any of the rights that they have.
The disappearances have rattled Kenya, a country that was a long-standing anchor of stability in the Horn of Africa. Activists say the disappearances have left an indelible stain on the government of President William Ruto, a key Western ally who was feted by President Biden in May as Kenya was designated a major American security partner. The protests, however, forced the president to withdraw the controversial bill and introduce austerity measures in the government.
I also propose that equally, Parliament, the judiciary, and county governments, working with the National Treasury, also undertake budget cuts and austerity to ensure that we do live within our means, respecting the very loud message that is coming from the people of Kenya.
In the aftermath of the unprecedented demonstrations, 2 different events were organized. One was a memorial concert for demonstrators killed during recent anti-government protests. Before the Uhuru Park Youth Extravaganza, activists planned white crosses with the names of at least 39 people who were killed in clashes with the police during several days of protests. Memorials have also come up for the day demonstrators stormed Parliament.
So today we're here to mark Sabasaba Day, but also to celebrate the people who have lost their lives in the protests. We have lost about 50 people, some are still in hospital, some have been paralyzed for life. So we're here to pay homage to their sacrifice and say you did not die in vain, you shall remember your sacrifice, and also celebrate the young people who, through their protests, have made Kenya change forever.
According to the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, 41 people have died and 31 were abducted. 746 people who participated in anti-finance bill protests have been arrested. For the Cairo family, each passing day is agony. The thought that their child may be dead adds to the nightmare. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
Let's move to North Africa now, where rival Sudanese political factions formally attended reconciliation talks in Cairo, the first since a conflict in the country began almost 15 months ago, but admitted there was little prospect of quickly ending the war. During the conference, the Democratic Bloc, which is aligned to the army, refused to hold joint sessions with Takadum faction, which it accuses of sympathizing with the Rapid Support Forces or the RSF. Neither the army nor the RSF attended.
The conference in Egypt was meant to initiate a national dialogue to unify perspectives for an end to the war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who chaired the mini-summit, reiterated the stance of many world leaders looking to broker peace in the country.
In this war, both the victor and the defeated are losers because the outcome will come at the expense of the country.
At the meeting, the tensions between the leaders were palpable. Government officials, including Deputy Chairman of the ruling Transitional Council Malik Agar, Finance Minister Jibril Ibrahim, and Darfur Governor Mini Minawi, refused to sit down with former Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and his Taxdam civilian bloc. Hamdok was ousted as Prime Minister in a 2021 coup by Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and RSF Commander Mohammad Hamdal Daglo, then allies.
We are firmly convinced that there is no military solution to this crisis. We must enter into a political process and dialogue in which we agree, regardless of its difficulties and challenges, because it is the only and ideal solution to create a new Sudan that is stable and reconciled with itself and with its neighbors.
Both warring generals did not attend the peace forum. Back home, the conflict persists. This video posted by the Rapid Support Forces shows soldiers celebrating outside the 17th Infantry Division in Singa, the capital of key southeast Sennar state. They were to capture Dindar, a town in the Sennar state in southeastern Sudan on the border with Ethiopia.
Our forces extended full control over the capital of Sennar state after they inflicted a humiliating defeat on the Burhan militia, the terrorist Islamic movement brigades, and the so-called Popular Defense Forces.
Sudan has been gripped by war since April last year, when fighting erupted between forces loyal to Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and the RSF led by his former deputy Mohammad Hamdan Daglo. The conflict has killed tens of thousands, displaced millions, and triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Sudanese residents living in Port Sudan, an area that has seen relative calm, say that they are not afraid that rapid support forces will enter their home turf.
The Rapid Support Militia is now trying to spread, and everyone who has followed the war since its beginning sees that its strength is declining and they have become very weak. The quality of its weapons is different from the weapons they used on their armored vehicles.
Attempts at mediation between the two sides, including by Saudi Arabia, the US, and the African Union, have repeatedly floundered. The US has signaled potential resumption of talks in the Saudi city of Jeddah, but the fighting shows no signs of abating as the RSF gains ground and pushes further into the country's army-controlled east. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
Femicide and domestic violence against women in North Africa are increasingly reported online and by the media, but rights groups say legal measures to protect the victims are still lacking. The victims are now speaking out and demanding a change and protection fast.
"45-year-old Farida, not her real name, still fears retribution from her ex-husband who tried to choke her with a rope. They eventually divorced, but the husband got the custody of the children and threatened to harm them if she filed a complaint.
I'm an Algerian woman, a journalist, and the mother of 4 children. My married life, and I can't call it married life, was very unhappy. Problems, violence, even death threats. He once strangled me with a rope until I collapsed. I thought I'd lost my life. Then he even brought a rope and threatened to hang me with it. Another time he brought gasoline and threatened to burn everyone in the house.
Sociologists in North Africa say femicide is not a new phenomenon. At least one woman is killed in Algeria each week. Across the border in Tunisia, femicide rates quadrupled between 2018 to 2023, reaching 25 murders last year compared to 6 in 2018. The situation is also alarming in Morocco, where Stop Femicide's Maroc, another group, has recorded 5 killings so far this year. There were at least 50 cases in 2023 and more than 30 the year before. Imad, who asked for his real identity to be kept secret, narrates how his 23-year-old sister was murdered by her husband last year.
I wonder why this injustice, why husbands kill their wives. From 2019 to this year, 2024, 61 women have been killed. 16 of them were pregnant. Why? They deliberately kill them, all because of the proper attention to women. I don't understand. Where are the people on this issue?
Rights groups have also been raising awareness on killing of women by their husbands or other male relatives. They say known cases only represent the tip of the iceberg. In 2017, Tunisia adopted a law aimed at fighting gender-related violence, but its implementation has been slow.
The problem is, it's been 6 years now. This law, the enforcement of this law, is not progressing as fast as we would like. So there are a lot of obstacles to the enforcement of this law, particularly cultural ones.
Sexual harassment, verbal or psychological aggression, and violence against women are also punishable by law in Algeria since 2015. In Morocco, violence against women has been a criminal offence since 2018, but rights groups say it has not changed things on the ground and women continue to be victimized. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
It is incredible how in an instant one's life can change forever. That was the case for 18-year-old Palestinian karate champion Mais El-Bostami. She was an elated athlete who was proud to have won a medal in her sport back on October 6th last year, only to find that moment washed away the next day. She is now hoping to accomplish her journey beginning at her new home in Egypt.
On the 7th of October at 6:30 in the morning, I became a different person. Our lives changed. Since then, we're no longer the same people. We grew every day and every hour that passed. We grew a whole year older. Because of the circumstances I have been through, my future is still blurry. Things are unclear, and I do not know what I will do in the future. All I know is that I have a goal, which is to represent my country in international tournaments and to participate in the Olympics.
I'm Eric Njoka. Thanks for watching this week's episode of World of Africa. Stay in touch with us on all our social media platforms and tell us about the show there. Until next time, it is goodbye from me.
The earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Namaste. Hello friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at yoursarthi@such.org.in.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Everyone loves a contest. But